whole damn video over because my camera, when I upload it to YouTube sometimes, God. Anyway, real quick, here's the quick version of the video, okay? First of all, I've got to comment on some of the things that have been sent to me, and for some reason, it seems like some people over at thegangrene.com were surprised at my age. I had posted on thegangrene.com for years in a section, in the bullshit section, and the thread was called Jay's Weather and something, where I'm a weather nut with snowstorms, okay? And while I lived up north, anyway, long story short, I became to know hundreds and hundreds of people that would come into the thing, and we talked about the weather, and it still goes on to this day. Guys do a fantastic job with that thread still to this day when it comes to snowstorms up north. Anyway, I wanted to read you a few comments just to understand, okay, that sometimes you have one perception of what you did for 2004. I started 18 years, okay? Oh, really, it was about 16 years. It's been the last couple of years I haven't, okay? First one. So you're the guy that did the weather videos for TGG all those years. I never realized you were that old. Thanks for the updates, Grandpa, and keep up the good work. Wait a minute, you're Jay Wayne 1 2? You're the guy screaming and yelling and doing the weather videos? I never did videos. I thought it was some teen nerd in his mother's basement. See the trend here? Next one. Not for nothing, no Jay, but your weather predictions were not always right. They make you out to be some kind of weather god. Bullshit. The anger. This guy's probably been waiting like 10 years to send this. Finally get a shot at me. But I like the jet video, even though you were totally accepting Joe Douglas now. I never rejected Joe Douglas. I love Joe Douglas. I just question him. Last one. Great video. And while I find myself agreeing with you a bit too much, I still can't believe you're the guy from Jay's House of Weather on TGJ. I pictured a millennial with curly hair and glasses and pencils in his front pocket. Not a guy like he's going to order the next mafia hit. Thanks for the videos. So anyway, it just goes to show you. And if I wasn't posting all these on TGG also, I wouldn't have read these. But you guys know who you are, you bastards. And I'm not going to mention your names. I'm going to stay classy, San Diego. Anyway, so let's get to the video, okay? Joe Douglas. What is going on with Joe Douglas, in my opinion? Why are we all of a sudden, first of all, if it was up to Joe Douglas, none of this would be made public. But when Hill chose the Dolphins, it had to be made public because Hill had a choice to make. There was no way it was going to stay quiet. But Joe didn't have to comment afterwards as much as he did, but he did. So Joe is acting out of character a little bit here. First thing is, he's actively pursuing a number one receiver when he has the 4th and the 10th pick in the draft. With the 4th and the 10th pick in the draft, if there was a receiver that Joe was absolutely in love with, he can get any receiver he wants. It just goes to show you that this draft class, thank God we don't need a quarterback this draft. Although I know some guys may like a few guys that may end up being drafted higher than that was mocked at the time. But the bottom line is, this draft is filled with solid players, deep. 3rd, 4th round, you could pick up a future center. But the quote-unquote can't miss guys, once you get past Hutchinson, okay, everybody seems to have a little bit of a question mark. Valid or not, I don't know. But they seem to have a question mark. Will Joe Douglas actually draft an edge rusher who has shown signs that he might take a play off here and there? Would Joe Douglas risk that with a 4th pick in the draft? We're going to find out a lot about Joe here. Joe's going to do a little more gambling, and Joe's not a gambler. And my point behind the video is I keep leaning more and more towards the day when that draft finally kicks off. The fact that we didn't even have a first round, the 4th or the 10th, out on the table. In the Hill deal, that Joe is going to do everything he can to keep the 4th and the 10th. But if it means sacrificing, seconds and maybe for some future stuff, he's going to do so because Joe is not in love with the top of this draft class. I'm sure he sees some hidden gems. I'm sure he sees a lot of really good stuff, but he is not in love with his 4th and 10th picks. Now, is that bad? No, because I think what Joe really wants to do is make this trade. And don't be surprised if it's an edge rusher. Don't be surprised if it's an edge rusher. But Joe wants to make this trade. And then use the 4 and the 10 in spots that we may not be thinking right off the top of our head. Maybe a safety. Maybe an offensive lineman. Maybe another receiver, even if he trades for one. Doubt it. Maybe a cornerback. Maybe he goes more all defense, but not necessarily an edge rusher if he can pick up an edge rusher, because for some reason it just seems like Joe, these question marks that some of these guys, whether it be Walker, they just have question marks that just don't settle with Joe Douglas, the Joe Douglas we know. He can't be totally comfortable with question marks when you're picking 4 and 10. There should be baby question marks. And these question marks seem to be a little bit too high for him. And that's why you actively see him out there making a trade. The way, you know what, let's wrap it up this way. The way Joe Douglas spends money on free agents, the way Joe Douglas has spent money since he's been the general manager of the Jets, he has the 4th and the 10th overall pick. What the hell is he out there trying to make a trade for Hill for? Knowing that he's going to have to sign him to a big buck contract. It goes against everything Joe Douglas is. So think about that. Joe is not in love with this class. Is there a chance that he may not make any moves at all? And for, it may be edge rusher receiver? It may be. But it has a little bit too many question marks for Joe. I really do believe there's a trade coming. In fact, I'm like 90%. So we'll see what happens. That's my thought process with it. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You're going to see a lot more videos coming up, so stay tuned. And thegangrene.com, you son of a bees. It's always great to post there, though. I love the message board. Thanks, guys. The millennial nerd in his 20s is signing off. Have a good one.